Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to address the United Nations General Assembly as he faces mounting international pressure to end the war in Gaza.
Denmark has been forced to halt flights at its Aalborg airport for the second time in 24 hours over a suspected drone hybrid attack.
Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted on charges of making false statements and obstruction tied to his testimony before Congress in 2020.
A unique preparedness drill is underway in Sweden, testing the country's ability to receive and treat war victims.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to address the United Nations General Assembly on Friday as he faces mounting international pressure to end the war in Gaza. Before leaving for New York, Netanyahu said he would condemn leaders who, in his words, reward terrorism by recognizing Palestine. His speech comes after France, Canada, the UK and others formally recognized Palestinian statehood, a two-state solution Netanyahu rejects outright. The Israeli leader also faces legal pressure. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for alleged crimes against humanity, while the UN top court weighs genocide allegations. Israel has denied both accusations. While the US remains Israel's closest ally, US President Donald Trump signaled limits, saying he would not allow Israel to annex the occupied West Bank. On Thursday, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas addressed the assembly by video link, urging the international community to turn recognition into a tangible reality for Palestinians. Netanyahu's address comes as the war in Gaza goes on, with thousands killed and millions displaced. Hamas still holds at least 48 hostages in the Gaza Strip.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas on Thursday said Palestinians are ready to bear full responsibility over Gaza, but said Hamas would not have a role to play in governing the enclave after the ongoing Israel-Hamas war ends. Speaking via video after the United States revoked his visa, Abbas told world leaders at the UN General Assembly that Palestinians in Gaza have been facing a war of genocide, starvation, and displacement by Israel.
وقد أكدنا وسنظل نؤكد أن قطاع غزة جزء لا يتجزأ من دولة فلسطين وأننا مستعدون لتحمل كامل المسؤولية عن الحكم والأمن فيه ولن يكون لحماس دور في الحكم حيث يتوجب عليها وغيرها أيضا من الفصائل تسليم سلاحها للسلطة الوطنية الفلسطينية في إطار عملية التوجه لبناء مؤسسات الدولة الواحدة.
Abbas said he is ready to work with world leaders to implement a peace plan for Israel and the Palestinians announced by France on Monday. At least 17 people were killed on Thursday in Israeli attacks in the Gaza Strip, according to local health officials, as international pressure for a ceasefire continues to grow. According to the Al-Aqsa Martyr Hospital, at least 12 people, including 8 children, were killed in an Israeli attack on a tent and a house in the central town of Zawaida. While in the southern city of Han Yunis, another Israeli attack hit an apartment building, killing 4 people, according to the Nasser Hospital. The hospital said another girl was killed with dozens injured in an airstrike that hit a tent in Deir al-Balah. The latest deaths come as Israel continues its renewed offensive with a wave of airstrikes and artillery fire in Gaza City. It also comes as many Western nations this week gave their backing for a two-state solution to the conflict, with Australia, Belgium, Canada, France and Portugal all recognizing a Palestinian state. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has lashed out at the idea, vowing there will be no Palestinian state.
Following Italy, Spain has now also announced it will deploy a Navy ship to assist and protect the flotilla heading to Gaza. The aid flotilla is a civilian fleet of over 50 small vessels from 44 countries aimed at breaking Israel's blockade of Gaza and delivering crucial aid to the Strip. Activists on board the convoy, including climate activist Greta Thunberg, have reported several attacks on their ships since departing from Spain at the start of September. The activists emphasize that the attacks would not intimidate them from backing down from their humanitarian mission, which they say abides by international law. Israel has repeatedly said it would not allow the flotilla to reach the Strip, claiming without evidence that the convoy is, quote, organized by Hamas.
Suspected drone activity disrupted Denmark's Aalborg airport for the second time within 24 hours on Thursday evening. The incursion forced the airport, used for commercial and military flights, to shut shortly from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. after an object was sighted in the sky. Danish security and intelligence services are investigating the incident.
Vi står i en meget alvorlig sikkerhedspolitisk situation. Det er der ingen tvivl om. Det gælder i hele Europa, det gælder også i Danmark. Jeg vil også gentage det, Thomas har sagt, at vi har ikke oplysninger, der gør, at vi kan sætte navn på en aktør. Men vi kan sige, at det her det ligner en model for hybrid krigsførelse, som vi har set andre steder i Europa. Jeg minder om, som nogle af jer selvfølgelig ved, at vi vurderer, at risikoen for russisk spionage i Danmark er høj. Og vi vurderer også, at risikoen for russisk sabotage i Danmark er høj. Det har vi set andre steder i Europa, det må vi også forvente at kunne se i Danmark. Og det er klart, at tjenesterne ser begivenhederne i lyset af de efterretninger og de efterretningsbilleder, som vi har.
The incident on Thursday night, the third this week in Denmark alone, is part of what some European officials see as a pattern of Russian disruption at a time of high tensions between Moscow and NATO.
It's a truly historic and shocking decision. A Paris court sentenced former President Nicolas Sarkozy this Thursday to 5 years in prison for criminal conspiracy in an alleged scheme to finance his 2007 presidential election campaign using Libyan money in exchange for diplomatic favors. However, the former French president was acquitted of the other 3 charges. But what's really striking about this Thursday's decision is that the judge requested for a deferred detention order with immediate effect. This means that Nicolas Sarkozy will be summoned on October 13 to find out about the date and conditions of his incarceration, which cannot be avoided even if he appeals. His imprisonment would be a first in French modern political history. But at 70 years old, however, the former French president could request a conditional release. Here are some of his first words after he found out about the sentencing.
Je demande aux Français qu'ils aient voté ou non pour moi, qu'ils me soutiennent ou non, d'apprécier ce qui vient de se passer. La haine n'a donc décidément aucune limite. J'assumerai mes responsabilités. Je déférerai aux convocations de la justice. Et s'ils veulent absolument que je dorme en prison, je dormirai en prison. Mais la tête haute. Je suis innocent.
The court also imposed a 5-year ban from holding public office as well as a €100,000 fine. The judge said that they could not prove that Libyan money ultimately funded Sarkozy's 2007 campaign, but emphasized that conspiring to commit corruption is a crime in itself under French law. Sarkozy said that he plans to appeal this decision. This verdict adds to Sarkozy's growing legal troubles. He has already been convicted in 2 other cases. The Big Malian affair for his 2012 illegal presidential campaign financing, as well as the so-called Bismuth case involving corruption and influence peddling. Sofia Katzenkova reporting from Paris for Euronews.
Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted on charges of making false statements and obstruction tied to his testimony before Congress in 2020. Prosecutors say he lied about whether he authorized links of classified information during hearings linked to the Russia investigation, the same probe into Donald Trump's 2016 campaign that the former president has long dismissed as a hoax. The indictment comes just days after Trump urged his attorney general to prosecute Comey. Trump called the charges justice for the U.S. Comey is the first senior official tied to the Russia probe to face prosecution, raising concerns that the Justice Department is being weaponized for political ends.
A unique preparedness drill is underway in Sweden, testing the country's ability to receive and treat war victims. It's the first time that the Warmland region and the National Board of Health have collaborated on an exercise of this kind. The drill, called Resilient Care 25, simulates a scenario where armed conflict in eastern NATO territories has resulted in some 70 injured people being flown in for emergency care. Real volunteers with fake injuries have been transported from Norway, Germany and the Netherlands to act as casualties. One of the volunteer patients is 14-year-old Emily Stav from Oslo, who is playing the role of someone suffering from a chest wound and an infection. A temporary medical unit has been set up by an airport, complete with regular and intensive care beds, operating rooms and a trauma unit. Around 40 medical staff from Warmland region are taking part in the exercise, though in a real-life event, that number would likely need to be several times higher.